Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Life, Love, and Existential Dread podcast. My name is Bryan Arata, broadcasting from Los Angeles, California. My co-host Nathan Shelton from Chicago, broadcasting from Chicago. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm great. I'm in a frozen wasteland, so I'm wonderful.
Oh, frozen
I just got
wasteland.
back from Mexico, and it snowed last night, all night. So I'm great.
Well,
it's great.
welcome.
Life is good.
Welcome home to Chicago. We'll snow you in. We'll snow you in right when you get here. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. And I know it's way too late, but Happy New Year, everybody. You know,
Happy
we haven't
New
been
Year.
On. You got to say that.
Merry
We're
Christmas.
coming
Happy
back.
Hanukkah. Kwanzaa.
You know.
Everything.
Whatever it is, we're happy. We're happy that you're here. Whatever holiday you're celebrating, we're happy that you're celebrating it.
Absolutely. Festivus for the rest of us.
Well, one thing I want to talk about that I'm sure everybody complains about, but I'm going to make a complaint right now, is traveling on an airplane. I went to visit some family in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I'm from originally. And, of course, there's people traveling all over the place, and families are visiting each other. That's what happens all the time.
Unfortunately.
But I got to tell you, we got to start making planes only for babies, okay? So if you have a baby, you're only allowed on these certain flights with other babies, okay?
Baby planes.
And baby planes. I thought about this, okay? This is a concept. I want all the airlines to pick this up. If you have a child under like 3 or 4 years old, something like that, you go on the baby plane, and they got toys and they're real small. They got diapers and everything. All the flight attendants are deaf, so they're not affected by the crying. So
do parents go with the babies on the plane, or is it only for the babies?
Of course, the parents go with the baby, but point being, we got planes that are specifically designated for people with small children, and had an incident traveling to St. Louis and on the way back with a small child screaming seemingly for 4 hours straight.
Was it the same small child? Happened to be traveling with you both ways?
No.
Okay.
No. There was one that was assigned to me on the way out there, and I got another one assigned to the plane for the way back.
Assigned to you. God just said, "Let's fuck up this guy's trip real bad."
We know. No, I'm always early. I hate being late for anything, even if it's just myself. I hate being late, so I'm always early in my spot. Here comes a young couple with a small child. It's like, oh boy, they're going to sit right in front of me, aren't they? And sure enough, they were. And then there was some problem with their seats, and they're asking other passengers to switch spots. And then we have to, of course, switch overhead bin stuff and a whole fiasco. I realize it's difficult traveling with a small baby. But to cause a little more commotion, I think these two could not. And then the mom said, "Oh, she's gonna fall asleep at 7:30. She always falls asleep at 7:30." Of course, she did not.
On a plane where there's all that pressure and babies don't know how to relieve it, in their ears and stuff.
Exactly, and I said that. I thought that myself. I was like, my ears are popping. The baby's ears are popping. That's what's happening. Walking up and down the aisle, trying to calm them down, calm this little one down. And I know it's tough, but again, we need to start baby planes. Or here's another thing I thought of. You pay a little bit extra to not have a baby on the plane. Like, you'll be on a plane that's guaranteed there is no child on board. If you're that bothered by it. Yeah. So
you're saying either baby plane or no baby plane, but either concept works. Like, this is a no baby plane and this is a baby plane.
Exactly. We have them separated, and I think it would be a big hit with all airlines, especially passengers. Pay a little bit extra to have no baby on the plane. And okay, maybe you don't get to travel on the exact date you want to. You got to wait for a baby plane to get filled up, with other babies and everything. So very good concept. I want to take your thoughts on that. You have children, so I want to see what you say about all this.
Yeah, no, I'm for it too. I hear what you're saying. And I think if you either go with baby plane or you go with anti-baby plane, however you want to market that.
Yeah, that sounds bad, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, tell me what you think about this. What if there's a third option where there's a baby anesthesia plane, to where as soon as the babies go on, they have a drop down, like where the oxygen masks come out, where you just go sleep, and the baby goes right down.
Yeah.
Or they give a baby like a little lozenge or something. You can't give a baby a lozenge, I guess. I think the gas is probably the way to go. You gas babies, basically. We gas babies on planes.
Yes.
And this rolls out, and everybody, it's completely safe. You know, it's just like going to a doctor. I guess anesthesia always has a little bit of risk, so maybe not. But taking a baby on a plane has a little bit of risk, right?
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's... What if somehow the mom or the dad or, accidentally knock a button, turn on the speaker, the baby's wailing, everybody in the cabin's miserable, but then when they turn on the speaker, it goes into the cockpit and the pilot's hearing the baby. He's like, oh my God, there's a baby on the plane. It's being annoying, and then the pilot just steers off into an embankment if there's embankments in the sky.
Yeah. Total safety issue, crying babies on planes. I've already thought about this.
Safety because it drives people insane. You have a Jack Torrance situation from The Shining, where it's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm going to go insane and just kill people with my luggage.
Exactly. And one more comment about your gas mask anesthesia thing. I thought about this. Little spacesuits for the babies, okay? So they're totally encapsulated in the suit, and it's got oxygen and everything, but it's soundproof. And you can't hear the baby wailing and crying. And it's like, okay, you got to feed it something. Okay, lift up the mask there, give a little thing or whatever, but most of the time when it's crying, inside the baby suit, astronaut baby suit. That's another possibility.
That's great. The baby's warm, feels safe. It's like coddled because it's like a puffy suit.
Yeah.
Yet all you're hearing is like a real
yeah.
And everybody can deal with that.
Of course.
That's not the only thing, worse than babies crying on planes are toddlers kicking the back of your seat the entire flight, which did happen to me coming back from Mexico.
Okay.
It was a late flight, and there was a child right behind me that kept crying, but I was listening to podcasts, which, imagine that, I'm very into podcasts. I was listening to some funny podcasts coming back, so I couldn't hear as much. It almost sounded like the baby was, or the toddler was in one of those like suits, because but they just kept kicking my seat the whole time, and I didn't have my seat back either. But this is on Volaris airline, which not a fan of this airline. They make you pay out the ass for everything. It's like, oh, you want to smile while you're on the plane? That's a $30 fee. It's so ridiculous. They used to have, you get one personal item as long as it fits under your seat, and then you get in some other airlines, I think Spirit does this too. You have to pay for your carry-on, right? You have to pay for a separate bag, and usually it's like for this airline, it was always like $20 to $25, and I'm like, all right, whatever, and I'm kind of cheap. I'm like, I'm nickel and dime. Some things I'm not, but that I'm like, okay. This time coming back, going there, I paid $20, $25 to take a bag. I was there for 3 weeks. I come back, $46 for a carry-on, and there's no wiggle room on that. That's the cheapest option, right? Because if you show up to the airport and you haven't already paid for it, it's more expensive. So, it's probably $50, so you're like saving $4. But still, they're just gouging you, and you don't really have an option because it's either equal or more to check the bag, too.
Yep.
So, then you have to wait, and they're so unorganized, too. Our flight was an hour late leaving. I got in around like 11:45 at night. We were supposed to get in about an hour before that, if not a little bit more. Yeah, like around 10:30. It was a nightmare, and the pilots were late and everything. It's just nobody had a sense of urgency, and they don't even give you water on the plane. You have to pay for water. You have to pay for anything. Like a lot of planes will give you snacks and stuff. No, not there. No. Everything, every little thing. You can't have coffee, tea, water. Like the normal things that are like typically free on a flight because they really don't cost anything other than the cup. Yeah, you get charged every single thing. The only thing that's free, hand sanitizer. And that is one thing I will say about Volaris. They have very clean planes, very uncomfortable seats, very uncomfortable seating situations, but everything's very clean, and they do take a long time in between each flight making sure that it's clean. They have these like fogger sprayer things and all this stuff. So that's great. I felt very safe on the plane. Everybody's wearing their mask. It was nice. That was the only good part about the plane, is that I felt very safe,
Okay. Oh man, good. No, I hear you. You mentioned Spirit Airlines. I took that to St. Louis and back.
Oh yeah. Because it's cheap.
And it's cheap, but they gouge you on the bags. It's crazy.
So it's really about the same price when you even it out. It's probably about the same price because you're paying for the bags.
Yeah, I think it was $35 to check a small bag,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit less to carry it on. But then I'm watching people carry on, and they've got these gigantic bags. I said, "How did you get that through there?" I don't understand. They're putting like 3 duffel bags worth of stuff up in these overhead. Of course that's a common complaint, but I was like, "How did you get that through?" I don't get it.
Yeah, because some places, and I know Spirit does this, they have that little box thing that they shove your bag into, and if they can't squeeze it in that, then you're not allowed to take it on the plane.
Right. It's like, how did you?
Yeah.
It's clearly way too big. How did you get that on the plane? So anyway,
grease the right wheels. You get in.
I guess so. I don't know, but that was.
Hey, buddy, look the other way. Here's a 5.
That's another aspect of travel that I don't fully understand is why do people have so much stuff? I'm a very light packer, light traveler and everything. I got a small rectangular bag, very small, and I was only gone for a week. Granted, maybe you're traveling for a longer period of time, you need more stuff, but you need 3-4 suitcases for yourself, or 2 people need that much stuff and overhead stuff. I just, that aspect of traveling, I will never understand, mostly because I don't need that much stuff, but who knows people's situations.
I work from home, for my day job, and so I always have to have my laptop with me, both laptops, because I'm also editing a lot too for video projects, film projects, podcasts. So I have 2 laptops that I carry with me everywhere, and all the accoutrements with that, all the electrical cables. This time I brought my microphone, which both times at the checkpoint freaked everybody out. They're like, "What the hell does this guy have in his bag?" Thought I was going to get,
microphone bomb.
Yeah, they were just going to like, "All right, bend over. Let's see if you got another microphone up there." But they always made me open my bag both ways, because they're like, "We've never seen anything like this before." It's like, "You've never seen a microphone?" Okay.
Never seen a microphone.
It's obviously a microphone. I still even, I had the foam, pop guard and everything on it. It's very obvious. But yeah, they, where was I going with this story?
Oh, I was talking about people overpacking. You're talking about
right. Sorry.
Packing your microphone.
So I have, my microphone, I have my laptops, and all of that goes into one bag, which is my backpack, because I have a backpack that's a camera bag, so it's got all the insulation in it and everything, so I know everything's going to be safe. And I've got a couple of external hard drives that I take with me and all that. Plus, I have sleep apnea, so I take my CPAP machine and I put that in that backpack. So that carries all of that. Then all my clothes and my little bathroom buddy, or whatever they call the little, everything that carries all my vitamins and toothpaste and all that shit, that is all in my duffel bag that I carry, that also can crunch up. So I always have 2 carry-ons with me all the time, one personal item and one carry-on all the time. So this time I was there for 3 weeks in Mexico. But even if I go for 2 weeks, I still have a duffel bag, because I still have clothes and things, and they can't all fit into the same bag. I can't fit my laptops and everything into one bag, so I have to take 2 bags everywhere I go.
Oh, sure.
So maybe I don't qualify for your light travel. I try to travel as light as possible. But...
See, there's another bonus. Like, if you don't have very much stuff, man, you should get a cut on the price of the ticket or something.
Right, you're not going to use an overhead bin? All right, well, we'll take a little bit off the top for you.
Take $15 off the thing. That's worth it. I would definitely do that. So,
sure. But then you don't. I mean, like, what if you're going on vacation though? I mean, let's say you go to Mexico and you're just going on vacation. I mean, do you want to buy anything? You want to buy anything and bring it back? You can't fit it into a bag that you've just got your clothes wedged into. So
exactly.
How are you gonna
and I realize
your guitar that you bought. How are you gonna
guitar? And I buy obnoxious sombrero, and I must have it. It cannot be crunched up or folded up in any way. No. So yeah. So
the guy sitting in front of you has to hold it the whole flight because you're holding everything.
Yeah, well, I'll let him wear it.
I said, I'm sure he's very happy about that, Brian.
Yeah. As I do, would you wear my hat for the rest of the flight?
Sombrero. Yeah.
I can't fit it in the overhead bin. Can you wear it for me?
But we were at the airport waiting to get on the, get through the checkpoint and stuff, and just kind of waiting, saying bye and everything, my wife and I. And we saw this couple walking through the airport with 2 gigantic bags that obviously had surfboards in them. Right? Like, they were shaped like surfboards, but they were like padded. So they had come to Mexico, I guess, to do surfing, but they're flying back. So they're in the international terminal, and they've got these duffel bags, but they're not at a checkpoint. Like they've already made it past the check your bags point. So I'm trying to figure out, there's no way in hell that thing is going on a plane. How are you can't put that in the overhead binge. You can't keep it in the walkway or anything. Those things are massive. I mean, they're huge. They had 2 huge surfboards. So I was wondering where they were taking those. Like,
yeah, never traveled with a surfboard, not going to, but man, what a hassle. Jeez.
Hey, you say that now, Brian, but who knows? You might go through a midlife crisis in another year, 2, and you might become a surfer. You know, you never know. You might be covered in tats and piercings.
See, and that's what...
You have white,
maybe,
blonde
true,
dreadlocks, like Tom Hanks in what's that movie? The where he's on the island.
Castaway. Yeah.
Castaway. Yeah, like you start looking like that, and you're like, whoa, and talking like a surfer dude, like Matthew McConaughey playing bongo drums naked in your living room smoking weed. That could be you. That could be you in another year. You never know. Life takes crazy twists, Brian. Don't say never. Never say never.
Never say never. And I moved here. One of the first things I did was drive to the coast. From Los Angeles, and drive up and down the PCH Highway, Highway 1, and it's just gorgeous. You got gorgeous cliffs on one side, and you got the gorgeous Pacific Ocean on the other side. And then
someday, wow. I'm never going to surf in that ocean.
and that's exactly what happened. Everybody says, "Oh, you're so close to the ocean. Don't you go to the beach every day?" No. Once you see it and once you experience it a few times, it's just like, okay, a lot of people go to the beach and they have fun and everything. I don't. And that's a common misconception, is that you're at the beach every day. I hate the beach. I hate going there. There's sand everywhere. I like looking at it. That's one thing. I do like looking at it. It's gorgeous. But I don't want to sit there and lay on the beach and burst into flame because my skin is whiter than like alabaster.
Right. No, I'm there with you. I'm a vampire. I am an albino. I can't. I do. I burst into flames. But I enjoy swimming in the ocean. I do enjoy swimming in the ocean. I prefer overcast days. But I do. I really do like that. I like salt water. But laying out in the sun, like you see people really enjoying it, and I'm like, why? What is that? I can't. Yeah. I like being in the sun if I'm in the shade. Like if I'm in under a tent or an awning or under a tree or something. I love it. I love seeing the sunshine and everything, as long as it's not too hot. But, I don't need to be in direct sunlight ever. I think that God has shown me that time and time again. The powers that be are like, oh, okay, well, you're going to get 2nd-degree burns all over your body. The last time I was in Mexico, not this trip, but the trip before, we went bowling. We took one of my new nephews bowling, and I said, I'm on my computer all the time, right? So I'm right-handed, and my right wrist, I've got carpal tunnel in it from it, because we've talked about getting older and falling apart and all that shit. But
that's
yeah, so I get carpal tunnel in it. So sometimes it's like it goes numb, or I can't really feel it, or it aches. Well, so here I am bowling, and right off the bat, the very first time that I bowl, there's a pop in my wrist and a sharp pain shooting through my fingers. And, my wife, Alma, comes up and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I'm fine. Let me just go for the spare here. So I bowled the whole set to get through, a whole game in pain and trying to, it's not like I was doing it to impress anyone. I wasn't doing it to impress her or to impress anybody else there. I just didn't want to quit. I'm like, I'm tenacious like that. And I'm like, I'm going to keep doing this. And it was the worst game I'd ever bowled, obviously. And I almost dropped the ball on my foot a couple of times because my fingers, I couldn't feel them by the second, third time. And I just kept going. What? And that messed up because I'm an idiot, Brian. I'm a professional idiot. I get paid top dollar for idiocy. So I bowled freaking bowl.
And then you can brag about a bowling injury. It's, hey, I got injured playing sports.
Oh, that's why I look like this. It's a tragic bowling, bowling incident. That's why I'm, a deformed, hairy hunchback man. I
was just gonna say deformed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, just look at me. I'm deformed, and it's all because of bowling. It is, and it's So
Dangerous sport.
if anyone wants to give to my GoFundMe for my bowling recovery,
Yes.
the link is no. I'm joking. But it
Please give now. We need to get Nathan back healthy again, so we can
right. I
continue
got to
to
get
type.
this hand back in top gear so that I
Yeah.
can type away and whatever else I do with my hands.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It really did though mess up my wrist for about a week. You know, it was just aching, and I was taking paracetamol there in Mexico. Which let's talk for just a minute about how the drugs are better in Mexico. And I'm not talking illegal drugs, which I'm sure are also better. I am talking about the legal drugs. Like it seems like, you know, anything you take, omeprazole for your stomach or paracetamol if you have an ache or a pain, you know, like headaches or something, you pop one of those bad boys, maybe two of those bad boys, and you're like sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. I mean, it's great. You're like perfect, you know, everything within like 30 minutes is you feel fine. You feel like you can go, you know, water skiing, which is not a good idea for me, but you feel like you can. And that's really great.
Is it
I
a
don't
narcotic?
know why it is.
I've never
it's
heard
not
of
a
those. So
narcotic. It's just like Tylenol, but things there are stronger. They don't have all the regulations, I guess, that we have here. The medicine is better there. The food is better there. I don't know. I
mean, did your wrist improve at all, or did that Mexican medicine fix it, or?
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like Tylenol. It's not like it's a miracle drug, you know, like marijuana is. It's like just yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. The hemp plant.
Oh yeah,
miracle. But no, it really just helped it did. It helped my wrist, and I started feeling better. So because I was feeling better, it allowed it to heal, and I wasn't in like weird pain, because you know, like if you have a strange pain and it's not calming down, especially with musculature and stuff like that, you start to try to overcompensate by that. Like if you hurt your back, you know, you start to overcompensate, and then you've got a way worse problem on your hands because your whole body's twisting and contorting in a way to try to get away from the pain, and so then you're tense, and it's a cascading thing. So when you're able to like alleviate that pain, it kind of went away, you know. It was really nice. So so that's great. And every time I go there, if I start to get a headache or whatever, you know, take one of those magic Mexican pills, and I'm fine.
Man, I need some of those. Jeez, because riding my bike. That's what I do for exercise. You get sore muscles and everything, so push too hard some days. And I found this CBD balm that you put on sore muscles, and almost instantaneously takes away the soreness and the achiness, like if the next day. Unbelievable. You know, it doesn't have the THX or THC.
It doesn't have the THX.
It doesn't have the great sound system that we all want in our CBD balms. But
you know, if you do have THC, sometimes everything does sound like you're in THX.
Yeah, man. You get the same effect as THX on the THC. Yes. Yeah. But this thing only has the CBD in it. But unbelievable how fast it works, man. You just rub this stuff on, like my shoulders get it sometimes, like the middle of my back sometimes gets it. Amazing stuff. You're talking about how good marijuana plants were, but even without the hallucination or whatever you get from the plant, you know, the regular CBD stuff, freaking awesome. So awesome. You know, on regular everyday aches and pains, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I've heard a lot about those balms. I've never used one. I went to a chiropractor here for a while, which was great. He was awesome, Dr. Jimmy. But he was really awesome, and he has a side hustle where he sells CBD oils and stuff like that for aches and pains and stuff. And so they were always advertising it in their office. And I've heard from a lot of the patients that were there when we were all waiting and going through the different procedures together. That it works really well. So I was meaning to try it. I haven't ever tried that before. So
really good one. It's a company in Colorado somewhere called Papa Barkley, and a little expensive, but man, it's some good stuff. It's just a CBD balm, man. It's a tiny little jar, but it works really well.
But
even
a little bit goes a long way.
Exactly, and it is that CBD stuff, you know, and I try not to take too many medications, or I don't take any medications, or try not to take aspirin or Tylenol. I try to, you know, do what you do, muscle through the pain or whatever. But some of this stuff, you know, like, man, I need something. And so I found this thing, and it works really well, surprisingly well. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That may work for you. Who knows?
some things a fifth of whiskey just can't take care of, and you gotta
yeah. Yeah, and I thought, well, yeah, maybe have a couple drinks, even it all out. But like,
don't take drinks with drugs of any kind. It's not,
absolutely,
good. That's not ever good, listeners. In case you're thinking that Brian is condoning, taking.
He said no medical facts. All we're doing is having a conversation. No, nothing proven, nothing fact checked. We're just chatting away about what's happening, what's worked, what's not worked. I have no idea.
Well, but let's just going back, because I'm interested to hear. We talked about the flight, going to visit your family. How was your trip back in St. Louis? Do you go every year, or do you go for Christmas every year back to St. Louis?
No, it was a couple years before that I went back, and this time I went back, stay with my sister and her husband. She has 2 boys, and just for Christmas time, just nice to see the family again. My parents are there, my brother's there. Got to visit everybody. I just don't travel that much. The whole plane experience. I love airplanes.
That's why.
My dad was in the Air Force, and he worked on an airport his entire life. I love airplanes. Was around airplanes my whole life, going to air shows and everything. Just love it. But the getting in one is the issue. I got got an issue with, but it's very good to see the family and visit old St. Louis again, see everything again. So
old
nice to get
St. Louis, and I was going to try to visit you on the way through.
Before we get too I wanted to mention one more thing about St. Louis trip and the plane trips and all the problems with that. There's a very famous frozen custard place called Ted Drew's in St. Louis, and I hadn't had it in years. And at the airport, they had a vending machine for this Ted Drew's thing.
Oh,
hate to see it. That's a highlight of my trip, was to get this frozen custard out of this vending machine at the airport.
Well, I hope your sister and the nephews aren't listening.
She doesn't. She won't care. She'll probably agree with me anyway. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that was the best part of your trip. But I saw this thing. I was like, oh man.
That's awesome. That's awesome that they have a vending thing at the airport. So it's a pretty big company. It's not like a mom and pop.
That's the thing. It is exactly a mom and pop. They only have 2 locations in St. Louis, packed almost every day. They're downtown St. Louis. The best. I don't care. You can put it up against anything. Ben & Jerry's, gelato, anything.
Andy's frozen custard in Springfield.
Andy's frozen custard. I went to Andy's. This stuff's better. I'm telling you. Okay. If I could ship it to you, I might figure out a way to mail it to you and send it to you, and so you can experience it for yourself. It is the smoothest, most unbelievable. It's not ice cream. It's frozen custard. Most smoothest, unbelievable dessert I've ever had, and it's in this. It was in this vending machine that had like a ice. Like a container that's frozen, like a cooler, and the lid flips up, and this thing goes in and pulls it out and everything. I was like, how long has those been sitting in there? I have no idea.
Probably not long if it's really popular.
But it's amazing. And
this
I miss that a lot.
Brought to you by Drew's.
Brought by Ted Drew's Frozen Custard. I love it. Fully endorse it. You're in St. Louis, go to Ted Drew's. It is a must if you like frozen custard, ice cream stuff. It's awesome.
If you don't.
Because we used to go there all the time. It's way the hell downtown. I used to live in the suburbs. It's way the hell downtown. It's quite a trip to go there, but man, it's worth it. So I want to get that in before we got on to something else. So
no. You always got to get the Drew's plug in there.
I was like, maybe we get endorsed by Ted Drew's.
Ted Drew's.
I was raised Catholic, but I, haven't practiced that religion in many years. But my sister does, and her 2 boys, they go to church every Sunday. Her husband is not Catholic, but he goes to church with them. So we're all walking up for communion during the Mass, and maybe 300 people or so in the church. I think we were one of maybe 20 people that had Mass. The 4 of us had Mass. Nobody else did. I couldn't believe it. I was walking in there. Why is no one wearing masks here? I couldn't believe it. How many people weren't? And then we get a bunch of looks like we're the freaks wearing the masks inside amongst all these people. So that was very extremely frustrating to see that. And that they just don't. They're not even doing it. There is no mask mandate in California. There is a mask mandate. You have to wear a mask going into any place, but not on St. Louis, not in this area.
I know, and they fought against it, and then they're doing stuff with the schools there too, where like the governor has basically said that if your school mandates masks for any reason, you'll lose funding for your school. So it's really stupid. But I was wondering, because my dad's a Methodist pastor. I don't know if you knew that, but my dad is a Methodist pastor. And I'm, sometimes when I was growing up, I was Methodist too. And we used to, at our church, different churches do different things, even within the same denomination. And we used to do this thing called intinction, where you would take the bread, you would like rip a piece of bread out of a loaf, right? And you dip it in a chalice of wine or grape juice. Methodist, it's usually grape juice. And then you'd eat it. Well, now that COVID's running rampant, I'm guessing that churches aren't doing that, and they're just doing what we used to lovingly call Jeezits, right? The little wafers.
Circular wafer.
Yeah. Well, and not just circular. We had these ones that look like kind of like flattened Tic Tacs, or like the new kind of gum that's not sticks, but they're like little rectangles, like puffy rectangles, kind of like that of bread, like a little weird cracker thing, and then just the little tiny plastic disposable things. I'm guessing that's what most people are doing now, because people are going to church, they're still involved in religion, they're still involved in taking communion. Is that what you guys did? Because I'm sure people aren't doing also in Catholic churches, I know, I've been to some where they all drink from the same chalice and stuff, and surely that's not happening. I mean, surely that's not. That's just
that was not happen. That was not happening. I don't think it was even offered at this mass I was at. It was Christmas Day mass. The priest did have gloves on, and you have the option that the priest could put it on your tongue if you wanted that, but nobody was doing that, thank God. And but most of you walk up there, he puts it in your hands, and then you take it like that. But even without COVID, I thought that wine thing was so disgusting. Everyone drinking from the same glass, and they do have a cloth, and they wipe it. They wipe your lip.
Yeah, they wipe it. Yeah, but there's no.
But I just always thought that was so I never took the wine in Catholic, going to church every Sunday, ever.
So everybody was always like pointing at you and like, that guy's going to hell. Yeah.
Wait, why didn't you take the blood of Christ? Come on, you got the body and blood of Christ. Come on, what the hell's the matter with you?
I'm good.
I don't want it.
Good.
I don't want the blood, and I don't want all those people's germs either. So thank you, but no thank you. Yeah. Praise be to God. So
praise be. Praise be.
I got tons of stories. We'll save some more for another podcast, but I'll give you one story about how I had no idea how much people listen to me. 7th grade class.
I still don't know why people listen to you, Brian.
I don't know either. That's why I got a podcast, because you're the only one that can interrupt me. Otherwise, I got free reign. Hey,
right? Sorry, and I do it too much. I'm sorry.
And even
proceed, sir.
No, I'm not. And even in post, I can mute you out in post, So
that's true. That's true.
That's the only reason I want to start this podcast. Finally, people listen. One 7th grade class, one of the overall worst classes I ever had. The group as a whole was just not the greatest group of kids. Yes, there were good kids in there, but the group as a whole just kind of a bad attitude. And one girl, a little bratty little girl in particular, always give me a hard time. Always lots of attitude. Maybe
careful,
a C&D.
Brian, she's probably listening.
She's listening. I won't mention her name, but you know who you are.
Yes, Cindy Makowitz. You know who you are. No, I'm joking. I don't know. Some woman named Cindy Makowitz is listening right now, just bawling her eyes out.
What the hell? I don't even know these guys. What the hell?
Yeah, listeners, just so you know, Cindy Makowitz is a completely made up name, and any resemblance to the real Cindy Makowitz, we deeply apologize, and it's a cool name, so go you. This one's for you, Cindy Makowitz. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead. I want to hear the story about Cindy. Tell me about Cindy Makowitz.
Okay, that's her name now, Cindy Makowitz. Sorry, we just that's your name. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, Cindy, very difficult student. Didn't practice very much. C&D student in all the classes, not just my class. And I made some crack one day about how I didn't like the music to Moulin Rouge. Like, I remember I was dating somebody, and she really wanted to see it. I was like, okay, let's watch it. It's a musical. Let's watch it. And I'm just like, it's just not my favorite thing. And I remember saying something that in class, the whole class, I said something about that. And then this little girl comes back the next day and all angry. What do you mean you don't like Moulin Rouge? My mom loves that music. I thought it was one of the greatest movie musicals ever written, and she listens to it all the time. What don't you like about it? I was like, what? It's just they were so.
Now you've got a new reason not to like it because Cindy Makowitz likes it.
Cindy Makowitz likes it, yeah. But I was just so amazed how passionate she was about what my opinion of that movie was. Like she was because I was the music teacher and I was her teacher, and her mom really liked it and everything. But yeah, they, good and bad kids, they listen to you, they sponge it in whatever the subject is. And it was just an off the cuff comment. I was trying to remember what it was. And I just says, I don't really like that movie. Or I don't like the songs or the arrangements of the songs, something like that. And she came back the next day, rearing to, get me back. And what do you mean? Why? So, yeah. Be careful what you say.
No, Brian, I completely remember that being the case for me too. Growing up, I maybe it was for you, maybe it wasn't, but teachers, especially teachers in the arts, because I'm an artist, right? So I always tended to be closer to my arts teachers, my choir teacher, theater teacher, things. And so when people aren't perfect, and teachers aren't perfect, and teachers make mistakes, and teachers say things they shouldn't say sometimes and give opinions or lose their temper or whatever. And it does deeply affect kids, but that's also a part, I think, of learning and of understanding. And I think it's important. I don't think it's important that teachers are always perfect all the time, because teachers are real people. And I think kids need to realize that. We put adults on a pedestal a lot when we're younger. And then one day you realize, oh, my dad doesn't know everything. My mom isn't the best person in the world. People do make mistakes. And it can be really crushing, or it can be really uplifting, especially if you have an open communication with that individual, I think, I remember some things that my choir teacher said to me, who I absolutely loved, and still to this day just love the man. And some things that I went through with some theater teachers too, and deeply affected me. Like their opinion of me or of a mistake I made deeply affected me. One time I was doing theater in community theater, right? And I was in high school, but I'd grown up already doing theater there for years at the local theater, the Springfield Little Theater downtown Springfield, Missouri. Shout out Springfield Little Theater.
Yo.
And but I was doing a show, and I was playing a silly role in Big River, right? Do you know that show Big River? It's a musical of Huck Finn. Anyway, John Goodman's first Broadway role. And so we were doing it, and I was playing a character, the young fool who sings a song, Arkansas, Arkansas, I just love old Arkansas. It's a goofy song.
I do know that.
And it's everybody's, not everybody's favorite part of the show. No, it's not. But it's a nice reprieve from some of the dramatic things that are happening. It's just this goofy character that comes on and is obsessed with Arkansas, the country idiot. And I had my hair all crazy because I've got crazy hair anyway, but it was like really crazy. Well, one day, some of the actors backstage and everything, they were like, well, let's do your hair up and do it like really crazy. So I went out there and I had my hair completely like standing straight up on end. It was like out, and just to get a laugh, and it got a lot of laughs, and I felt great about it. And I was so proud of being goofy. And like I came off stage, and one of my idols who I had grown up with, my first director I'd ever worked with, he was a technical director there, I said, well, what'd you think of that tonight? He said, I think it's the most unprofessional thing you've ever done. And it really disappointed me.
Whoa.
And man, it kicked my ass. And still I get this twinge in my gut thinking about how badly I disappointed him, but how I really felt like this is a teaching moment somehow. This is a moment that he's being completely honest with me. He wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. He was really being honest. And I value that to this day. I really value what he said to me, and the fact that he could be that honest with me, because so many people aren't that honest with kids, right? They tell kids what they want to hear, and it crushed me. It did. It crushed me, but I learned from it, and I was mad at first. You go through all the levels of grief whenever you get hurt like that. Yeah. But but it
and you gotta
laugh.
You gotta great. So right in the moment, you're getting a great response from the audience.
Oh yeah. So you're right. So you're conflicted, right? Because you're like, well, those people liked it. Well, my friends thought it was funny, and why can't you think it's funny? Why is this wrong? And then I realized, and whether it was right or wrong, now I've come to, I would be pissed if somebody did something like that too and tried to make you break on stage. I mean, actors do that kind of shit all the time, and it is unprofessional and it is like goofy, but you're in a run of a show and you're like, you get, and who knows what he was going through at that time too. Like he might've been going through something and saw that and just was really disappointed because he didn't want me to learn bad habits, and, learn, especially at that age, if you start getting laughs like that, you start thinking, oh, this is the thing to do. It's going to be about me. And you stop thinking about, what's really important and giving to those other actors around you. And you start being very selfish. And so the lesson that he gave me made me a stronger performer and later on a better director. And I think I'm so thankful for that. And for all of the artists and teachers in my life who were honest with me, who taped my mouth shut in class, which did happen in 5th grade, who, all the teachers that actually kicked my ass a little bit when I needed it, when I needed a good ass kicking. And today I think that's another huge thing that's wrong with our educational system is you can't do that. Especially like in college and high school, you can't kick somebody's ass anymore verbally because they'll sue your ass or they'll fire you because nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. But being uncomfortable makes you grow. It makes you grow as a person. It makes you grow as a member of society. It makes you grow in your own mind. It's needed. And the fact that people can't be honest anymore with somebody in school without hurting their feelings and getting scared they're going to get fired if they hurt their feelings, artists especially, if you're not pushed, if you're not uncomfortable, you will never fucking grow. You will not grow as an artist. I get so tired of having people tell me all the time, oh no, your stuff's so good. It's so good. It's like, well, that doesn't do you any good. It's nice to get praise. It really is. But my real friends are really honest with me. And if they don't like something, they'll tell me they don't like it. And they'll tell me why, not just, oh, I didn't like it. It's like they'll actually say to you, this is why I have an issue with this or whatever. And I always, if people ask me my advice and they're my real friends, I will give them my honest opinion and I don't do it to be mean. If I don't like something, I'll give it to them in a constructive way. But that's true love. That's being open and honest with somebody. And it doesn't do you any good for me to sit around and just praise you, and, pad your little bottom and tell you that you're special. It doesn't do you any good. You're never going to grow.
Because then when you realize you're older and you're not that good, they're going to hate you for it.
Right.
They're going to say,
and then they're going to be like, well, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, you told me when I was 10, 12 years old that I was really good and doing everything great. But then when I was 24 and 30 years old, I realized I'm not that good. You lied to me. They're going to hate. They're going to hate the teacher or whoever made the comment for it. Yeah.
Well, and it also just what good you're doing is allowing them to lie to themselves too, and say that there's nothing to work on, that there's no other opinion on what they do. Because sometimes it is good, but maybe there's some way it could be better. And being outside of the art or outside of the situation, you can actually give a unique perspective as to what that is. Like, well, okay, this is great, but it's, you're missing something here, or this doesn't really make sense, or this isn't resonating, I think, the way that you're wanting it to. And by being honest with somebody, you're really loving them more. Because you want what they're doing to really be the best it can be, and you want them to be the best that they can be. You want them to succeed. So you give praise where praise is due. I'm not saying never give praise by any means. You give that praise, but you also are honest. And if you don't like something, what good is it to tell somebody that you do?
Nothing.
You could, if somebody says, did you like it? Which is a horrible question. Like, don't ever go out and ask somebody, did you like it? I don't do that anymore. I used to do that, all the time. But now it's like, if somebody says they liked it, oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you had a good time. If you would like to talk about it, we can go get some drinks or get some dinner and we'll talk about it, because and there's some people, some valued artist friends, you present company included, that I would really be interested to hear your thoughts on something that I've created or that we've created together or whatever, But there's other people that's like, I don't I'm glad you had a good time. I don't really need to hear your opinion on anything because it's your opinion, and that's great. And,
Yep.
it's not that it's not worth anything to me. It's just I don't need to hear it because I know we probably have a very different mindset on things or whatever. So I don't know. It kind of goes both ways.
I couldn't agree more. And one balancing act that I did figure out, you already kind of touched on it, give them a little praise. Find something good about it that you can say, whatever it is. And then, but you start with the good thing, a couple good things, and then, unfortunately, go into things they need to improve upon. And that was the only way I could balance it out when I was being a teacher or evaluating something. And just anything in general, I was like, okay, what do I find that's good about it? There's something good that I can find and tell this person, and I do actually think it's good. But then, hit them with, so it's, it really is a balance. And
You're
other
talking
story,
about the compliment sandwich.
the compliment sandwich. Yeah. It's, you get your own digs in there, but you're not a total dick about it because you're complimenting on something. Because I try to think about that in general. What's something good I can get out of this situation, this conversation with this person, whatever, doesn't matter what it is. So, and one other story made me think about all this. Is in that movie Whiplash, and the teacher J.K. Simmons is talking to the kid Miles Teller. I forget the names in the movie.
Who played the kid? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Irrelevant. The story is that he's talking about a time when Charlie Parker, a very famous alto saxophone jazz player, was doing a recording session or was at a place playing with a band, and he was so terrible that somebody else in the recording session threw a metal, the drum cymbal at his head, and he had to duck and get out of the way so he didn't get decapitated or at least extremely hurt by this guy throwing a cymbal at him. And so then he was so embarrassed by it, he went away and practiced and practiced and practiced like crazy, and now we have Charlie Parker. But we would not have Charlie Parker if that incident had not occurred. And that's what this teacher was trying to tell the kid in the movie. It's like, you need these situations to, hey, you're not good at all. Get it together, or you're not going to be part of this, program, this musician, this group, or this theater company, what have you. It's right. Some of those lessons are hard to learn, but man, it makes a difference.
Right, some of these, and if you're really dedicated, you want that. Brian, that's it exactly. Yeah. And I think today in our
I love
world,
that story.
Yeah, that's a great story. And those teachers, I value those. I value those teachers so much to this day. The teachers that pushed us the hardest. My acting professor in college, maybe we'll have him as a guest on the show sometime. But that man, everything I learned about acting, was solidified because of the way that guy pushed me, and I watched him push other students in a way, and it was powerful. It's sad. And hopefully we can get back to a place where we're not so brittle that we can't, take the criticism, take the truth, the honesty, and grow from it and say, thank you. Thanks for being a real person with me and telling me your opinion. And even though I don't have to believe everything you're saying, but the fact that you're giving me another perspective is powerful.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had harder teachers when I was in high school. I think some of that was even starting when I was getting out of high school and going to college. I was a cocky prick in high school, particularly my senior. Yeah, I was. I still am. Just walking down the street. Hey.
I'm teasing you.
No, I don't know. But I thought it was the greatest gift to music. I played 3 instruments, but then when I got to college, I was like, holy crap!
Everybody plays 9 instruments.
I'm not near as good as I thought I was, And I was like, so much. And MSU had it was a huge band program. I think there was 400 people in the band, So I'm going up all these people, people my age, and maybe just a year older, but they were so much better than me. I'm like, holy crap! I thought I was king of the world, when I was in high school, because I was first chair, I was section leader, I was, in charge of a lot of things, running sectionals and things. So I was like, man, college, it's going to be a breeze. I got there, not so much. I had a lot to learn, and it was a hard lesson too, because I thought it was so great, and then I'm surrounded by all these people who are, just as good, but most of them are a lot better. So I really had to swallow some pride and say, hey, there's a lot of people better than me out there, even at a college level, that you just got to, get in there and practice, and you're not as good as you think you are. But my teacher, he never told me that. He was kind of, oh yeah, okay, fine, whatever. He didn't never really push us that hard. So I wish he would have, but
Right. I was
I
lucky.
did
I
learn
had.
it for myself in college.
Oh yeah, and that's a harder lesson sometimes because
Yeah.
you didn't get prepped for it. I was very thankful that I had some really honest teachers, especially in the arts in high school, that said, you're kind of the king here. You've built yourself up. You do, it's easier for you here because there's not a lot of people who really do what you do and focus on this as hard as you do. But when you get to college, everybody's going to be focused just as much as you. They're going to be just as talented, if not more talented than you are. And you are going to have to bust your ass because you're not going to be the special, the one of a few kids that are actually good at this and really want to do this with their life. Everybody in your department's going to want to do that. And so I kind of knew that, and I had to talk myself into it, but it was still a hard lesson when you get there and you're like, holy shit, I actually have to work for an audition, because you get comfortable. That's one of the reasons, when you hit a certain level of doing something in an area, you have to be uncomfortable to get to the next level. And there for a while, back home in Missouri, it's like I really needed to move because I'd been doing stuff there so long that I didn't have to try anymore to get a part or whatever. Like if I went to an audition, usually I was invited to an audition or whatever because I'd just been an actor for so long. People knew my work. I didn't really have to do much. And I was artistically just doing the same kind of thing over and over again. And it's like, I just need to get away for a while and get my bearings again and move to a market that I have is so big here in Chicago, and I don't know anybody, and I don't have a leg up, and I don't, and everybody, and I have to work again. And I'm still learning that lesson, right? And it's like,
me too.
And sometimes you take those steps back to reevaluate and then go forward again. And I think
of course,
that's all life. And it's great to go through those with other people and be able to talk about those things, with other people like yourself. And that's one of the things with this podcast. It's great. It's great to talk about these trials and tribulations and life lessons and learning these things as you go and grow together. Yeah. So,
well, because that's one thing becoming a teacher. I remember, having, everybody has good and bad teachers throughout their life, all the way from elementary all the way through college. And I just remember, this one orchestra teacher I had in middle school, and she was just terrible. I even knew it at the time, but then when I became a teacher, I was like, I gotta step it up and be 10 times better than her, which wasn't hard because she was so terrible. Because I didn't feel like I got the most out of it. Those 3 years of middle school with her, it was like a waste of time because I didn't get that much out of it. I was taking private lessons, but she really. So when I became a teacher, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna step it up and do a good job for these kids because I don't want the same thing to happen to those kids when they get older. Like, oh, Mr. Arata was, not paying attention, just patting us on the back about everything and not doing your job as a teacher, educating children. So, but yeah, I hear that. Yeah, education is it's probably going to be hurt the most by not being honest, unfortunately. And I wish it was more honest, but what can you do? It's a tiptoe. Everybody's walking on eggshells around everybody these days. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well, sometimes you got to get spanked really hard by life to make things change, and maybe the way the world is right now is going to spank us all real hard, and we're all going to realize that, holy shit, I can't walk on eggshells, and I got to be honest, and we got to go through some shit till we come out on the other side, and that's important.
And when I was on Family Guy, Ron would do that. Ron Jones was the composer I worked for, and we had to create the orchestrations and then these sample instrument simulations of what's going to sound like the orchestra. And he would tear you to shreds on, oh, this mix is terrible. Why'd you use this sample? This is terrible. And you'd see the fewer notes you got, the better you were doing. But it was always something negative. But all those things get in there and make it into the show because he pushed us that hard, because we made him look better, and then overall the music better for the show. And if he hadn't done that, we wouldn't be as good as we were. I wouldn't be as good as I am now because he pushed me harder. Or he's going to fire me. He fired somebody because they weren't that good, not willing to follow his notes. Like, he's a great composer. He's a great expert. And Seth MacFarlane. He's even more difficult. Like, some of that stuff is like, why is that so soft in there? Well, I hear too much trumpets, and he's very educated in music himself.
Right.
So you got two pretty harsh critics evaluating your stuff, and try to, keep your job and everything.
They want it to be perfect, right?
But but in turn, it made me a better orchestrator, better mock-up person, better sound engineer, all the way around. That's why I keep thanking him. I'll thank him on every episode. Ron Jones, thank you for hiring me and teaching me what I do today, because he really did. He gave me a great education, on the job.
That's amazing. Well, also, guys, all you listeners out there, we're wrapping this thing up, but just wanted to throw out in the spirit of being honest, if you would like to join the conversation, hit us up on social media, on our email, and let us know. Get a part of the if you've got a perspective here you want to share with us, you drop a line, drop a review, drop a line on our show, anywhere you find it. If you're listening to this on a podcast app or on YouTube or a website or wherever, drop us a line. We want to hear from you. We'd love to hear your brutal honesty, and we'll give it right back at you. But other than that, we've had a great time talking, Bryan. It's always a pleasure talking to you and getting to catch up, especially since it's been a bit, after the holidays. But thanks for calling, and want to talk to you again soon.
Oh yeah, and I already got like 3 more stories ready for the next episode about what's already happened over the break. So I got plenty more material to come here.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, Bryan, good to talk to you, man, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, man. Talk to you later.